Next recipe. So this was a request from our last class to make sort of comforting soup. Again, we're talking about fall, and this is definitely comfort food. This is cultural comfort food. Congee. Has anyone heard of congee before?
Has anyone had congee before?
Congee queen.
There
yeah,
you go.
There's some, yes. Yeah, and congee comes in different forms. There's Vietnamese congee, you have your Japanese style congee, you have your Chinese congee. Everyone has their own favorites, and because it is one of those dishes I find that really comes from the grandmothers,
That's right.
and the kitchen and the family.
Way back, right?
Yes, I'm sure everyone's congee is the best and only congee. So what I make today is probably not going to be your favorite congee. But what I love about it is that it's simple.
That's right, and it shows us that you can vary up your ingredients, right? It doesn't need to be the same old thing, or if you didn't like one particular congee, change it up, right? Play with your ingredients a little bit. That's what we'll show you today.
Absolutely. So a lot of people, I think traditionally use a rice, like a long grain rice or a cracked rice. One of the original ways to make congee was actually using millet. And millet is a grain that you may not have used, and it's interesting because we don't use it a lot in Canada. You see it more in birdseed, I think.
That's right. Yeah. You will.
Okay.
If you research it, the first thing that comes up will be your birdseed mix,
Yeah.
right?
But this is such a simple grain to use. It's also pretty healthy for
It
you
is.
as well, right?
You're going to get all your nutrients again in it, and it's actually a vegetarian protein. I'll just put some in my hand so you can see it.
I can even pass the jar
Yeah,
around
we can pass
as
it
well.
around, but see, it does look like a little birdseed, right?
Birdseed.
There you go. So it's vegetarian. That's right. It's actually similarly cooked, like
But it's not quinoa.
right?
It's
But
not
it's not
quinoa.
quinoa. It's an actual whole grain, so there's lots of fiber in it, and it's gluten-free. Gluten-free, vegetarian protein, and my favorite, it gives you lots of fiber. Right?
Yeah. So try millet.
For sure.
Really, really tasty. And for this preparation, you can use whatever ingredients you want. I'm trying to make it as simple as possible. So I'm starting off with some vegetable stock. You can use chicken stock, whatever you want. And the proportion I like is about 6 cups of stock to about 3/4 cup of our millet. That's going to give us almost like a porridgey type of congee. If you like it thicker, obviously use less stock. If you like it soupier, more stock. But it's up to you. So I have water that is hot. It's going to be boiling very soon. And I'm going to add my millet, so about 3/4 cup of millet to that. It doesn't look like a lot. It looks like I just threw a few pieces of seeds into the stock, and it's going to taste like stock. The millet will absorb a ton of liquid. So don't be tempted to keep adding more, or you'll end up with a block of millet in there. Not so appetizing.
Trial it first.
Yes. So cooked like Fatima mentioned, cooked similarly to quinoa. Doesn't take long either. And once it comes up to a boil, what we do is put a lid on top. That's the wrong lid. Lid on top. I don't know where my lid is.
And sometimes when you buy it, the instructions say do it with water, but here's your opportunity to put the flavor like Jeremy said. So it's vegetable stock or chicken stock, or some people just squeeze some lemon into their water and you get a ton of flavor that way.
We're going to add a little bit of ginger as well. So this is just fresh ginger, and I'm just doing just a little slice on that. That's going to flavor the stock as well. And that's all we need as our base for the congee. And then you can customize it the way you like. So it is fall.
It is.
And
Favorite.
you're starting to see a lot of different squash and pumpkin around. This is Hubbard or kombucha squash. It's one of my favorites, really, really tasty. And with any squash you can use in this recipe, you can either cut it up into chunks and throw it in, or if it's difficult to cut squash, because I find that it does take a little bit of muscle to cut the squash.
So be careful.
Yeah, squash is also not even. So it's
No.
rolling around on the cutting board. So it can actually be pretty dangerous too if you're putting a lot of pressure on the knife. If you do it, just make sure your fingers everything is out of the way, hand on top, and you put a little bit of pressure to cut through. If you do not want to do it that way, I will show you an easier way to cook your squash. Use just the tip of the knife and prick it a few times. And we're gonna bake this thing whole in the oven, as is. The reason why we're piercing, does anyone know? Explosion, I heard explosion, yeah. That was the first thing. It will explode in your oven.
It will.
The steam will build up inside. So you just wanna make sure that you pierce it a few times, throw it onto baking tray, into the oven, 375 degrees for about 40 minutes. Doesn't take long at all. You can use a microwave. Absolutely, you can use a microwave. We actually have a video on our YouTube channel that shows you how to soften a pumpkin up in the microwave.
Yeah, because I was going to say what my mom does is, this is very, reminds me of my childhood. She'll put it in the oven just to soften it up, and then she'll start to cut it from there. So
Yes.
it doesn't go in for too long, but just to get it soft, and then she can cut it a lot easier that
Yeah,
way.
yeah.
Is that true with any squash? You can do that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, because they are. You'll notice, like Jeremy said, there is no flat surface, or they're really tough, and you just risk cutting yourself. So just soften it up a bit. You might want to take that initial hardness off with just maybe 10 minutes in the oven, like my mom did, and then you just take it out, slice it, and then it goes back in the oven to your desired texture.
Yeah, the 40 minutes would cook it almost all the way
That's
through.
right.
This is actually what it looks like after it's done. So it's whole, and I'll just show you. This is a sharp knife, but I'm gonna put just the least amount of pressure on top, like butter.
So exactly.
Like butter. Yeah.
You only pricked it so lightly, just like this.
Just
Yeah,
very
that's
light.
all
You
you
can
need.
use a fork. Just
all you need.
a little.
Not to go to the pulp, just to prick the skin.
The skin.
Just
that's
the
right.
skin.
So that the steam has some escape. That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that's it. So we have our seeds inside. We have our squash, which is cooked. So the seeds I would scrape out,
It's really good.
and you can even wash them, rinse the seeds, toast those guys up. Really tasty. But the squash itself, you can remove the skin if you want. It's a little tough, but if you wash it really well, you can actually eat the skin too. Just take off any of the tougher bits. And so yeah, it's up to you. But this is what we're looking for. This is the gold. This is the really good
Beautiful.
stuff.
And look at the color. I love the color.
Beautiful color, yeah. And I find that this type of squash versus butternut squash, it doesn't have as much liquid or water inside. So it tastes almost meatier. Really, really tasty. And so that's it. Once we get our squash chunks, we throw them all into the soup as well. And actually, Fatima, you want to
Yeah.
scrape a few of those chunks
Sure.
there, if you don't mind. And let this cook,
Oh.
sorry,
That's okay.
for about 40 minutes. Low heat. Millet doesn't take that long to cook, but with the congee, we actually want to break it down till it's very, very tender, almost falling apart.
That's
Very porridgey. No, that's good.
Okay.
So that's our congee. Pumpkin congee, really tasty. And then you can put whatever you want on there, have some different options. So like Fatima mentioned, there's already protein in the millet itself. But if I wanted to add, so I have some like turkey. You want to throw some turkey in,
Yum yum.
just to give it some meat, you can put some turkey in. So as it is obviously vegetarian, but we had so much leftover turkey from Thanksgiving.
I know.
We're just warming this up, throwing a little bit of that on top. So there's a pumpkin congee.
Am I
Yes.
putting all of this in it?
No,
Okay.
we're done.
It smells good.
If